welcome to our daily show, The Davos View, where we bring you a slice of our continuing coverage here of the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. Now, on money control in the last few days, we've had some top global voices from India, chief ministers, policymakers, and we will bring you more as we conclude our coverage this Friday. But on the show this evening, we begin with one of the world's top economists. He was also the former governor of the Reserve Bank of India, Raghuram Rajan. Now, we asked Raghuram Rajan about diversification in supply chains, the whole China plus one opportunity and the Trump regime and how this will impact India. Raghuram Rajan is very bullish that India has an advantage in the current scenario where we are seeing these shifts in supply chains. He also said that as a neutral democracy with stable policies and stable politics, India will have an edge. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
Dr. Rajan, we can't let you go without asking you for your thoughts on the Indian economy, because if you look at the recent GDP numbers, advanced GDP estimates, not very encouraging. What do you think will help? Even CEOs we've been speaking to say that, there is sluggishness, there is weakness in consumption. So will the magic bullet come from the RBI? Will it come from the budget? What is your sense?
One quarter's data is hard to interpret. Some of us, I included, have been saying that there is an issue we need to deal with which has been building up over the last few years. If you think about the last year before the pandemic, our growth was 4.5%. And through the pandemic, we had some terrible quarters, and then we had a strong revival. What is hard to tell is how much of the strong revival was because of the terrible downturn. And I would say that to some extent, the underlying issue is how do we get strong sustainable demand? And strong sustainable demand comes from, confident people. We have confidence at the upper end, the upper middle class, the people who are employed in Bangalore and Chennai. They're confident. It's the lower middle class which has been a little more hesitant because of the job situation. And that's why it's imperative for every state to expand jobs wherever it can, to whatever extent it can. And that's sort of going to be both beneficial for just more investment, more production, more growth, but it also gives more confidence for consumption. And I think the weakness has been displayed initially. We've seen weak lower-end consumption. It's strengthened a little bit, but upper-end consumption has weakened in the last data. Broadly speaking, we need to build more confidence in consumption, which ultimately means jobs, jobs, jobs. That's a single mantra. You saw that in the elections. You see it in every election. And we can't get away from the fact that India needs to employ its young people. That's a talent pool we have, which is an opportunity for all the companies that are thinking of investing in India. But it's also a challenge we have of making those people employable for the companies coming in, which is why schemes like Nan Mudalvan are important, because they bridge that skill gap.
Moving on from the policy corridors to the corporate corridors, we caught up with Wipro chairman Rishad Pant. Now, Rishad Pant has a very nuanced take on the whole 70-hour versus 90-hour work week that we have seen in the last few weeks in India. Rishad Pant said that he's a firm believer in work-life balance and that it's important to recharge to show up well at work. Let's listen in.
Chandra, I've always shared my view on this. My view on this is that work-life balance is something that you define for yourself. Organizations really define it for you. I think you need to find enough time to do what is important for work and show up well for work. So you need to be well rested. But the concept of defining work-life balance is very personal. And I think gone are the days, and I've spoken about this before, gone are the days it's about hours. It's actually about also the balance you want. So the balance you may want is being able to do something at work and just sort of cool off your mind. And not sort of be there only for 10 hours or 20 hours or 30 hours or 70 hours, whatever that may be. So I'm a huge believer in work-life balance. In fact, one of the things we've done, which I'm very proud of, is, we used to offer 5 sick days to people. Now we've now made them 5 wellness days, right? So get people to giving people the time to rest and to recover and to energize, I think is going to be important. And we shouldn't underestimate the need for all of us to recharge, to show up well for work.
Moving on from Wipro to Infosys, where we caught up with its CEO Salil Parekh. Now, Salil Parekh was very optimistic about the demand going forward. He also told us about Infosys building 4 small language models and how they are putting together 100 AI agents for various use cases. Let's listen in.
We have sort of taken a step forward in which we've shared externally is 2 things. One, we have built 4 new small language models. These small language models are based on a narrower data set, so mainly a client data set and the Infosys data. So it's more proprietary. For example, we built one for banking. We built one horizontal for IT operations. So these small language models are very effective. Clients prefer them because they also are quite careful about their data, how it goes out. And also they don't want to build things on more external data because the possibility of hallucination could be higher for their need, meaning not for the broader need. So therefore, what we have seen is clients' focus and interest is much more on the small language model. That's what Infosys has built. And the second thing we've done is we have put together development for 100 agents, and some of these agents are already in production with our clients. For example, a research agent or an audit agent, and these agents are helping complete end-to-end tasks with our clients with some great benefits. So those are 2 major areas that we are investing in and scaling up with.
Moving on from IT companies to conglomerates, we first bring you Parth Jindal from the diversified JSW Group. We asked him a wide range of questions on their plans from steel to paints to cement to even their plans for new energy and auto. Now, Jindal was very optimistic about putting huge amount of capex and investment in India to grow out their energy businesses. Let's listen in to their capex plans.
For us, the largest business for the group has always been steel. And as India's largest steel producer, we are very optimistic and bullish on the local steel demand in India. So we want to continue to maintain our number 1 market share, and we are expanding aggressively in that. The other business which is really expanding aggressively is JSW Energy. Just recently we acquired KSK Mahanadi and O2 Power, and we have a stated goal of becoming a 20 gigawatt player across thermal, renewable and hydro. And we are investing big time into that as well as into pump storage. So these 2 businesses over the next 5 years, we're looking at an outlay of close to $50 billion. And there's a lot of work that's going on. Very exciting for us. JSW Cement will become the 4th listed entity of the group this year sometime. We've just got the SEBI clearance. So we're hoping within the first half of this financial year, the first half of this calendar year, we'll actually become a listed entity. And this is following JSW Infrastructure's a very successful IPO that happened, about 18 months ago. So there's expansion plans for our infra business, expansion plans for our cement business, expansion plans for our paint business. In fact, we just submitted a non-binding offer for AkzoNobel's India business as well on the 22nd. So a lot of action, and obviously automobile is the newest venture for the group with MG. And we just unveiled a few new cars at the Bharat Expo. And I think that's also very exciting.
From one diversified group to the scion of another diversified group. We're talking about Shashwat Goenka, the vice chairman of the RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. Now, he told us that in the next 3 years, their investment in India is likely to be higher than what they have invested so far. He also told us about why they are betting big on quick commerce through their app Jiffy. Let's listen in.
So when we look at 2025, I think it's going to be a year of expansion and growth across all of our businesses. And a large part of that growth and expansion is going to come from the energy business, where we are looking to set up 5 gigawatts to begin with of hybrid wind and solar generation capacities, and with the aspiration of taking it to 10 gigawatts soon thereafter. These 5 gigawatts are in various different stages of execution at this point in time. So I think a lot of investment going in there. There'll be a lot of investment going into our carbon black and chemicals company as well, which is PCBL. And what's been very interesting here is, when we're looking at my BPO business, which is First Source Solutions,
yeah.
right? There's been a lot of conversation here around AI and how AI is going to transform businesses, and specifically this business. And for us, we're getting AI ready. Our target is by FY28, we're going to be an AI company.
And this is just for source or across the group?
I think across the group, there's going to be usage of AI. We're already using AI across some of the different sectors in the group. And when we look at First Source specifically, there's going to be a lot more emphasis on it, where it's going to go from becoming only a BPO company to becoming a IT-enabled solutions company, which is going to be focused on, or which is going to be basically running on the backbone of AI.
From IT leaders to corporate voices to policymakers again, we caught up with Jayant Chaudhary, the Minister for Skills and Entrepreneurship in India. Now, Jayant Chaudhary said that the private sector companies have to invest behind reskilling their employees so that they are prepared in an era of new technologies. He also said that India continues to be a robust startup nation with at least 80 startups being launched every day. But he said we need more strengthening of the funding ecosystem. Let's listen in. What does India Inc. need to do, sir, in order to skill the labor force? Are they doing enough in skill development?
I think the whole challenge right now is that a large part of our workforce has to reskill and retool themselves for the new tech that's coming. And that retooling can only happen if industry also invests in their own workforce. In the medium to long term, it always adds value to your balance sheets. That's the conversation I'm having with all the big corporates, and they understand it very well. You retain your workforce, you're training them, they're adding more value to your bottom lines. And in the competitive environment that we are in, India is emerging as a platform, as a center for R&D, for innovation. All of that is only possible if your employee and your workforce can actually adapt and can be resilient. Indian workers have shown excellence wherever they are, wherever in the world they go. They've taken leadership roles, and the growth of GCCs in India also shows that the world, the global economy is also looking to India for leadership. So it's very important that Indian corporates invest in their own workforce to reskill, upskill, continuously engage, and establish the concept of lifelong learning.
Well, on that note, we come to the end of this edition of Davos View, but stay tuned for our final episode this Friday.